All right, so they said this recording has to start that way. All right, so I'm going to I think since it's beginning, and at the very beginning we actually meet in person once a week, and then I found out like less and less people like to meet in person, for some reason. And actually, we tried the one time like an online meeting, we even got more people. So I just say, let's go ahead and suggest the Connect campus that we move to the this one, the online meeting. So that's how they started that way. All right. So and I've been teaching all kinds of different courses, of course, like developmental math, the college algebra, statistics, business math, business calculus to regular calculus. So I teach a very variety of the course, during the weekday that way. And this weekend, actually, I don't know weekend students, because most of you are pretty, very, very mature compared to my, teenagers. Sometimes I have in the daytime. So, and I say, well, this group of people, actually, they are very responsible compared to, some of the daytime student. Of course, we might still have a, dual credit student in the weekend as well. But, I say like when people come out, to study on the weekend, that's very motivated. So that is good. And I also realize the challenging schedule you have. So we're trying to make the course as doable as possible. So we pretty much just keep the very, very minimum. Okay, so this is the minimum requirement that you will be able to meet the coordinating board requirement that way. Okay, so we already cut the cost, shorten the cost to the very, very minimum. And you might encounter a little bit intense as well, because we only have a 7 weeks, right? Basically, not really 8 weeks, but 7 weeks, that kind of thing. All right. And there's an in-person tutoring available on each campus. So if you go to the syllabus, there's a link, okay, a link to the tutoring in every campus. You can go northeast, south, southeast Trinity campus, any campus that is close to you, okay? And of course, I wish like you can bring the question to this class online meeting as well. We can do the online tutoring as well, okay? So any questions before we begin? Anyone has any questions? All right, if not, I'm going to share my screen a little bit, and then that way you will be able to see my screen in here. Okay, let me see. Share meeting detail. Okay, let's see. Let's see, where do I? Okay, I am going to switch to the I'm going to just 1 second. I'm gonna re-log in. Okay, so this one did not let me share the screen in here. How about anyone want to introduce yourself since I'm still looking in the other one?
I'll do it to make sure we have not that moment of awkwardness. Let me cut my camera on. Hi, everyone. My name is Kenithra. Everyone calls me KK. I'm probably the oldest one here. I'm not sure yet, but I decided to start going back to school. I'm majoring, well, my degree is in Associates of Art. I'm going back for interior design. I am married. I have 2 kids, and I'm originally from New Orleans, but I've been living in Texas since 2011. And that's just a little about me.
Wonderful. All right, next. Anyone else want to just go ahead? You can unmute yourself and talk about it. You know, just
Good morning, teacher and all my friends. My name is Sikcha Guru. And last year on May, I just completed my Associates of Arts. And maybe on this summer semester, I'll be joining UNT. My major is logistic and bachelor in logistic and supply chain management. And I have an 8 years old daughter with me right now. So it's a little bit messy schedule going on, but still, I'll try my best to success in this class. Thank you.
all right.
Good morning.
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say my name is Anthony. I just started going back to college. This is my very first semester going for associates in business. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Miss Johnson. I am also married. I have a son. So we're looking forward to seeing what college is all about.
All right. Wonderful. All right. Anyone else? We have much more people here than 3, right? Go ahead and.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amina Katsabe. I did take this class because of my career is required. That's why I'm taking this class. I was about to skip it, but then my career required. I'm just pursuing my associate right now, and then later on I'll see if I'll go to university. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. Wonderful. Next.
Hi, my name is Alexandria. I took this class because it's a requirement. I'm not really good at math, but I'm gonna get through this course. I'm 24 and I just had a baby. He's 7 months old.
Oh, that's
and I'm
cute.
currently yeah. I currently work full time and I'm in school and I'm just really looking forward to being back in school because I haven't taken a class since I was like 22, so it's been about 2 years. But I look forward to learning.
All right. Wonderful. Anyone else? All right. If not, I can set up a discussion board so that way everyone, if you want to talk to each other for any question, you can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So there's a discussion board. I am going to set up a question like a strategy and introduction. You can kind of share a little bit, how you're gonna study in math, and then introduce you a little bit for those, especially for those that haven't introduced yourself. Okay, you can have a 2 or 3 sentences in here, and then I would like you to list, 2 or 3 strategies. So how you're gonna, study in math for this short course. We can all learn from each other. Okay. And of course, you always need to check an announcement because I post every week's schedule in here. Sometimes I might not send you the email every time, but every week I will post the announcement in here. So it's very important that you check the announcement, okay? And of course, you can send me the inbox directly from this course. That way if you send it from Canvas, I don't have to ask you in the email, say, which course are you talking about, right? Because I teach different courses. So sometimes I do not know if people do not say I'm in a math 13, 14 on a Saturday class, I won't be able to know that, okay? So that's a good thing. If you send it directly from Canvas, it will be under this course, and that way I will know automatically, all right? And then if you go to the assignment in here, you can see we have some people, I'm not trying to show you, but there's all kinds of different due dates in here, okay? For the homework, even past due, since this is a very short course, so even it's past due, you can still do that, all right? But where do you do the homework? You go to the Mind, Depth, and Mastering. So that is this one right here. When you click the Mind, Depth, and Mastering, you're gonna open the Mind, Depth, and Mastering in here. When you first time open that, it might ask you to register if you haven't registered in a Pearson account, all right? And this course is not a TCC plus course. That means when you pay the tuition, it doesn't include the access code, all right? If some of the course, they call the TCC plus, that means when you register the course, they already charge you the access code money. But this course is not a TCC plus, so you will need to purchase the access course, access code. When you open this one, it will ask you, you can just buy that directly from Canvas. That's the quick and easy, and that is also the cheapest one, okay? If you are in a financial aid, you have to wait, a week. Also, when you open this one register, it will give you, I think, a week also, something like a 10 days free access, just to say you want a free access for now, but it only lasts about, a week also. All right, after that, you still need to buy the code, otherwise they will discontinue you, okay? And then you can just buy the, whatever they call the 18 weeks. You don't have to buy the whole year access or even half a year. So if they have 18 weeks, our course is only 7 or 8 weeks, right? So the shortest access is enough, all right? So that is this one. You can use the credit card, debit card, directly purchase directly from here. Or if you already buy the code from the bookstore, which is sometimes I say it's easier to buy that from here, because if you buy it from the bookstore, you have to make sure you match this textbook, okay? If you buy a different textbook, you won't access to this course. So that's why I usually in a syllabus, even in the code, I said you can buy that from Canvas in here, all right? So after you open that, since I already have the access, so you won't ask me to go through the registration. You will have the course home. I'm gonna view the students' home, so that way you will see the same thing. All right, and then if you hit the entire course today, current one, usually look at the current one, you only can view for 2 weeks, right? This one is only view for 2 weeks. But if you hit the entire course today, you will be able to see the whole thing. All right, so you can see the entire course. That means after 2 weeks, if you still want to go back to do the section 1, which I don't recommend, but if that's the case, or you miss one question on section 1, you can still go back. So since this is a very short course, and I also realize everyone has very tight schedule, so I do not take the date point off for the homework. All right. So even homework past due. So, you know, even this one is due on the 29th, right? And then if you have a 30th, at a day of 30th, you still not quite, this has 9 questions. And if you still have 1 question left, you will still be able to go back to do that 1 question without a penalty. Okay. So that is the homework. But for the quiz and the test, you have a hard due date. So what does that mean? That means the test, you know, and the quiz, you won't be able to access after the due date. Okay. So you will need to send me the email, give me a good reason to see why you cannot do that by the due date, and I will reopen it for you. All right. I can be as flexible as possible, but I cannot be flexible when it's the end of the course. Okay, May 7th is that definitely everything need to be complete. All right, this is the college due date, not my due date. This is a college due date. If you cannot finish by this due date, that's beyond my control. You will need to go through the department dean and the vice president or whatever. It's a very complicated process to approve to be able to do the access the course past this due date. Okay, and the college, they have a very strict you know, very challenging restriction. Even they say, yeah, you can do that, but the procedure is pretty tedious, put it that way. All right. So just FYI that way. So we are trying to work together as much as possible, and I will try to be as flexible as possible during the semester. But let's say we have a totally hard due date in here. Okay. And the reason I want to put a due date, because you cannot do everything in last day. All right. Sometimes people say, yeah, I something happened to me and I cannot complete the week 1, week 2, or even week 3, and then they're trying to wait until week 5 or week 6 trying to do the entire thing. It's just impossible. Okay. So I know like that I have been teaching long enough and knowing the pattern for some of them. Okay. And they wait until last minute and then they couldn't finish. All right. So keeping up with the schedule is the most important one. All right. And when you do the homework here, just let's open a section. There's a view an example. All right. So when you click this one right here, if you do not know how to do that, you can view an example. You can say, ask me to look at it. You can view an example. Step, go through all the step in here. So, and then you can come back to do this one. So let's view an example in here. You can help me solve this one as well, but this, when you help me solve this one, and the number, of course, the number will be different when you come back to do this one, your number will change, okay? That is similar to the test question. I given you the review, very similar to the test question, but the number will change, all right? And as you get more help in here, you can watch the video. So there's so many videos in here. We have our section video, and also the book also come with the video. So you have a very you know, many resources to access, you know, in here. And then you can also open a textbook, okay? And there's also e-text in here. If you want to read the e-text in here, you can go to the course home. All right, you can go to the course home, and there's an e-text. Okay, there's e-text in here. Look at this one. I just opened that one. If you go to the assignment, all right, and go to the section, and then you hit this one. Okay, and then yeah, there's several ways that you can build an e-text. Okay, you can build here, or you can open directly from the beginning. Okay, if you just want to read the e-text before you do the homework, you can do that. All right, this e-text you can look at this one right here. You can go to the, pages. You can go to the next page and next page. You can keep clicking on to the next page, and this will take you to wherever. You can even do the bookmark in here. Okay, so that is a little bit resource in here. And sometimes people say, when I do the quiz, I got it wrong. Where do I access to that? Because if you go to the quiz, you will need to go to the My Gradebook. Okay, so let me go ahead and go to the Gradebook, My Lab and Mastering. We open this one right here. And then if you go to your Gradebook, you will be able to build your quiz. Okay, so let's see. I do not have anything submit right now, but if you have something already submit, right? And then there's a Gradebook. Communication. All right, student Gradebook. Yeah, when you go to the Gradebook in here, and you will be able to look at the review. Click on the review. My Gradebook is a little bit different than yours because, yeah, right here. Look at it. You can, instead of using the past 2 weeks, you can have an entire course today, right? That way it will show all the courses to here. And then you can click on the review, all right? Homework, you can click directly because homework is unlimited access. But the test or the quiz, you have a limited try. So you will need to come back to the Gradebook and then click on review. And then you say, oh yeah, that is the one I didn't do that right. So you do the continuing review, okay? And then we are showing you like which one you got it wrong and why you got it wrong. Usually you will show the correct answer. Right now, I didn't enter anything, right? So usually you will say, if you enter the wrong answer, like I said, I'm gonna enter this wrong answer, okay? If I enter the wrong answer in here, it will show you like you enter the 1 and 1 and that's incorrect. And then the correct answer should be, something, correct answer for the x-intercept here, you can see should be 4.4 and 0, all right? So this should be 4, 0 in here, okay? And that is your x-intercept in here, all right? And, okay, let's come back to 5. The review here, okay, one thing is review, you won't change it, you grade, all right? So if you review this one, I don't know, it's still, let me type in, but it didn't save. So the review section, you won't change your grade that way, all right? But you can see which one you got it wrong, all right? So that is the review. Homework, you have 3 tries. So let me go to the assignment in here, okay? Homework, you have usually, when I go to the assignment, it will let me record my grade in here. So like I said, if I click this one has a no x-intercept, right? This will be wrong, all right? And then I said this is incorrect, okay? And then this usually giving you 3 try before. Okay, so before check the answer in here. Where the graph, the x-intercept is the x-coordinate point where the graph will intersect the x-axis. All right, type integer or similar fraction using a comment to separate answer is needed. So that means it don't really need a whole parenthesis, okay? Just need to type a 4. That is what I mean in here, all right? So give you the final check, all right? So now this one is done, okay? So you have 3 tries. If 3 try, you still didn't get it right, you will have to do the similar question. So the y-intercept here will be just 2, all right? Okay, so now you can go to look at it. This was red check earlier, right? So once I got it right, it will change it into green check, all right? So that is this kind of question. Once you do the similar question, if you got 3 try, you still didn't right, didn't get it right, you can do the similar question in here, all right? And the red check will become the green check. So the good thing is homework, we don't really count how many times you do that. As long as you got a green check, you will get a credit, all right? So that is the homework access. And the quizzes, you have 3 attempts. Of course, the test, you only have 1 attempt, okay? Any questions? So that's giving you a little bit of homework access, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and do the PowerPoint in here. So we're gonna go ahead, look at the first 2 sections for this week. The first chapter here is the equation and the inequality. So the first section is the graph and the graphing utilities. I recommend everyone can have a TI-83 or 84 calculator. It doesn't matter you have a handset calculator or electronic calculator. Sometimes the handset calculator, which I always have, but it costs a lot more, right? The handset calculator costs, the used one probably costs at least $50 or $60. But if you purchase the electronic, which is right now, there's some kind of the called a TI-84 app. Okay, so let me just giving you this one right here. Okay, so there's one called a TI. All right, TI-84 app. All right. If a smartphone, you can use the smartphone to download this one. And I think the price here is $4.95, which is close to $5. It's cheaper than $50 or $60. Okay, that kind of thing. So I will recommend to buy the the app, download the app. Okay, this is app. Actually, some other student told me a few years ago that the app is much cheaper and it's exactly the same as the handset. All right, and I'll show you how to do the TI calculator as well in some of the example. Okay. All right, so the graph and the utilities in here, we need to be able to plug a point into the rectangular system, right? The Cartesian coordinate system is also called a rectangular system. Okay, that's the system we learn in algebra. All right, in trigonometry, you might have other system, but the rectangular system is the only one we have in this course. All right, and we need to be able to identify the X and Y intercept, okay, and interpret the information. So you can see this one right here, you have a horizontal is X axis, vertical is the Y axis. The intersection point here is called the origin. The origin here, which is X is 0, Y is also 0, all right? And that is the system in here. This usually start with this one. This is called a fourth quadrant, okay, or fourth quarter. And then this is the second quarter, and then this is the third, this is the fourth. So it's going to this counterclockwise, not a crosswise, okay? So Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. On the x-axis, with this right side is positive, upside for the y is positive. The opposite one is negative in here. So if I want to plug the point -2 and 4, that means we always write down the pair as X and Y. So X always comes first, Y second, all right? That is the system. Sometimes people say math is kind of like a language, right? We need to know how to speak a language, math language. So when you see this one right here, -2 and 4, so that is X equal to -2, Y equal to 4. So X is negative, you have to come back to the negative. The intersection is the 0, okay? Both are 0. So -2, so each unit is 1, so that's 1, 2, -2, and then go up for 4. So that is your point P, okay? If your point P here is -2 and 4, so that's in second quadrant, right? If I want to graph 2 and -4, what happened? That means this time x will be 2, y will be -4. So which quadrant is that? Anyone? If I have an x with +2, y is -4, which quadrant? 1, 2. Yes, that's number 4. Yeah. So x is 2. So 1, 2 right here. So x is 2 and y is -4. So go down, 1, 2, 3, 4. So should be right here. All right. So this point is my 2 and -4. All right. Okay, so if I want to draw a line and then passing these 2 points, guess what? I just connect these 2 points together and that will be a straight line. Okay, so that is the system. All right, the graph passing the x-axis is called the x-intercept. Passing the y-axis is called the y-intercept. So when you have an x-intercept, y coordinate is always 0. Okay, because passing the x-axis, y is 0. So you always have a, x. All right, a is x. And then the graph passing the y-axis, x will be 0. So this is kind of just 0, y. And that y, of course, can be a certain number, right? Okay, so look at this one right here. This is the graph passing these 2 points, okay, passing these 2 points. And then let's look at the x-intercept. Look at x-intercept here. X is -3, right? This is -3. And how much is the y-axis? Well, everything on the x-axis, y is 0, okay? So that is a -3 pair with 0 for the y. So this is kind of the pair, okay? The pair is always write down x and y. So if you want to write down x and y, the pair for the x-intercept always negative, always x and 0, right? For the y-axis, y is y-intercept here, y-intercept here, y is 5. And how much is x? You can see, trace it down, x here is 0. So this point here is 0 and 5. And then this point here is -3 and 0. All right. So very clear, you always have an x first, y second. So this one x is 0, y is 5. This one x is -3, y is 0. All right. So these two are very, very important concept. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna graph this one and then find the x and y intercept. So how do I find my x and y intercept? So in order to find the x-intercept, you're gonna let y be 0 because that is the concept here. All right, and then you go to solve for x, solve for x in here. So y 0, so look at that, y 0, so this will be 0 equal to 3x minus 2. And how do I solve for x? Well, I'm gonna add a 2 on both sides, right? So, and then this will be canceled out. So this will be just 3x left, 2 in here. And then we're gonna divide both sides by 3, so that cancel out. So x will be equal to 2/3. Okay, 2/3 in here. All right, so how do I find my y-intercept? We know y-intercept, x must be 0. So you're gonna have a y equal to 3 times 0 minus 2, right? 3 times 0, of course, is 0, so y will be -2. So how do I write down my y-intercept point? My y-intercept here will be x is 0, y is -2. My x-intercept here, x is 2/3, y is 0. So that is my 2 point. If I want to graph this one, I can make a graph in here, okay? So I have a y-intercept is 0 and -2. So right here, -1, -2. So x is 0, that's on the y-axis, y-intercept, right? My x here is 3/2. So this one is -1, -2. All right, so this is 1, 2 in here. 2 over 3 is less than 1. It's about 0.68. So that is somewhere right here, less than 1. All right. So that is, you know, you can just make a little bit of guess, you know, right here, and then connect these 2 points together, and then have a straight line. Okay. So that is y equal to 3x minus 2. If you don't want to using the fraction, which is sometimes on the electronic homework is very hard for the fraction, you can you know, make it another point. You can make a x equal to 1. Okay, you can make a x equal to 1. So look at it. If I let x equal to 1, let's go ahead and find out y. So when x equal to 1, y will be 3 times 1 minus 2, right? And 3 times 1 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. So that means I have a 1 and 1. So x equal to 1, y is also equal to 1 right here. X equal to 1, y is equal to 1. And right here, that point is 1 and 1. It's not an x or y intercept, but it's a point on the line. So you can just graph these 2 points would be much easier than finding the fraction point. All right. So you can have this point and then this point in here. Okay. So let's see how you do this one in the homework. All right. Let me just show you how to do this one in the homework. Graphing a line. Okay. So let's go to, let's see if we have one question that graphing a line. All right, so this is still plotting the point. Plotting the points to be much faster. Okay, so this one don't have a, let me go to the second section. All right, let me go to the students' view that way. Oh, sorry. It's going to the different courses. All right, let me go to the students' home so that way I will see the same thing as you see. All right, so to section 1.2, this might have a graphing. All right, so this is still don't have a graphing. Okay, let's go to the fourth section. I just want to show you section 1B. Yeah, where to find the tool to graph. Okay, so all right, so this one graph the equation y equal to x minus 4, right? So you want to calculate that x equal to -3. When x is equal to -3, it will be -3 minus 4 will be -7, right? And then x -2 minus 4, this will be -6. Okay, so you're gonna need to calculate all of this before you do that. And then this will be -5. And then when x is equal to 0, it will be 0 minus 4. So this will be -4, right? Okay, so you can figure out this pretty quickly. When x is 1, 1 minus 4 will be -3, all right? And then when x is equal to 2, 2 minus 4 will be -2, okay? And then 3 minus -4 will be -1, all right? Okay, so that is this one. This don't even ask you to graph. It's just let you choose the question. All right, so you can enlarge this one right here. You can make this the whole thing. Look at it. You can click this whole thing and make it a little bit easier to see. All right, so you can check, I'm gonna check the 0 and -4. This graph will have to pass all of the points in here. But if I just check a 0 and -4, so this one is -10. All right, so that means if this one is +10, this one is -10, this one is -10, that means each grid here will be 2, right? So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So each one is not 1, okay? So 0 and -4, -2, -4, this is about right. And you can also say, you know, let's check a 2 point. If you have 2 points, that is correct. The rest should be right because the straight line, you know, if you check a 2 point is right. Let's check this point right here, right? This is an integer point. So this x is, we can check this point right here. This x is -2. All right, -2, y is -6. So actually this is a correct one, right? So we just open that one and it looks about right. Okay, so this don't even ask you to graph, you just need to pick the correct one. All right, and the straight line, you only need to pick 2 points, pick the easy 2 points to you know, to check. All right, and if you do it wrong, you can do the similar question. Okay, and then if you got a similar question correct, this will attend to the green check. All right. Looks like this one don't really ask you to the graphing part, okay? And the absolute value, so what is the absolute value? Absolute value, that means everything come out from the absolute value will be positive, right? So -3, absolute value will be +3. +3 times -2 will be -6, okay? And because outside you have a negative, but -2 absolute value is +2. +2 times -2 will be still negative. All right. So that is how you do this type of questions. So everything come out from the absolute value will be positive, but you still have to times -2 outside. Okay. And 0 times anything will be 0. All right. Absolute value of the 0 will be 0. Absolute value of the 1 will be still 1, but you times -2, so you still have a negative in here, right? And then this will be still negative because outside 1 is a negative, okay? That kind of thing. All right, so now you want to choose the graph, okay? So the absolute value is kind of like a V, either upside down or positive V. Since this has a -2 outside, so this is gonna be facing down. The reason is facing down because y, look at it, y is negative. Y is always negative or 0. So that means B or C is incorrect. B or C is incorrect. You choose either A or D. So enlarge that to see that. Okay, so we have a 0, 0, which is right. When x is 1, y will be -2. So this time, it giving you this 10, so that is 2, right? And when x is 1 here, y is -2, so that is about right. When x is 1, y is -2. When x is -1, y is -2. So that looks like the right one. Again, when we open the first one. All right, so this one don't look like asking you to graph them, only choose the question. All right, so sometimes when you do the graph, they have a little bit tool on the side, right? So you can open the tool, okay? You can also using this one in a calculator. If you do not know how the graph will look like, you can put this whole thing in a calculator and then you can see how you look at that, right? So I have this TI-84 and I go to my y equal to 3x, okay? That's x in here. Oh. All right, 3 times x, so 3x minus what? Let's see, 3x minus 2. Okay. All right, and then we hit enter, we hit graph in here. So that is your graph, okay? That is your graph in here. All right, so you can do this one and you can do the y2 as well. You can do the y2 if I just graph y2 equal to -2 times the absolute value, or just graph the absolute value first. All right, so where do you graph the absolute value? You will have to go to math, okay, and then go to number here. ABX is that your absolute value. All right, so that is the absolute value X. It looks like a V, positive V. Look at that. This is my absolute value for X. Look at that. Okay, so the red one is the absolute value of the X. And then, of course, if you have this one we have earlier, you have a -2 times the absolute value of X, right? And then you go to math, go to number, ABX, absolute value of X, okay? And then we graph, and then you can see this time, because you times -2 outside, so Y will be all negative this time, okay? And then you have a vertex, kind of like a little bit toughest point here is 0, 0. All right, so that is the graphing by the calculator. Another one is you can go to the table to see the number. So this table is in blue color, right? So anytime you want to access the blue color, you need to hit second first. So second graph, you will see the table. Look at that. All right. And then look at that. When X is 1, you have a Y1, which is the 3X minus 2, right? This is 1. You can scroll up and down. Look at that. You can calculate all the X value in here. All right. I put a decimal point. Sometimes you might just look at the setting, which is just the integer, whatever the setting you want to have. Okay, so you can go to the window here, and then you can adjust them for the graphing. Okay, you can. All right, I think I want to stop right here. Second mode is quit, so you can always quit to the main screen to do the calculation. Everything here is still there, right? So second mode is quit because it's blue color, so you have to hit second mode first, and then it will be quit in here. All right, so go to the Y equal to input the equation and then hit a graph. You will be able to get a graph. Go to the second table, second graph, you can see the table. All right, so that is the basic calculator in here. Anyone has any questions so far about a calculator? Any questions? Go ahead and jump in if you have any question, okay? So if you have something that want me to repeat or something or ask question, I would prefer you to jump in and talk, okay? So that would be much better, all right? This one is graphing the absolute value, okay? So graphing the absolute value, this absolute value, it will be still a straight line, okay? See that the integer X is starting with -4 and then ending with 2. So sometimes I can just make a little bit table. All right, make a little bit table. So this is -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, all right? And then we're gonna calculate Y value. So you have this one will be -4 plus 1 absolute value, right? -4 plus 1 will be -3. -3 absolute value will be positive, okay? All right, and then this is -3 plus 1 will be -2, right? And then -2 absolute value. Everything with absolute value always positive. -2 plus 1, this will be -1, and then that is 1, all right? And then -1 plus 1 will be 0. Absolute value of the 0 is still 0, okay? And then you have a 0 plus 1 is 1, and the positive absolute value is still positive, right? 1 plus 1 is 2, so that is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, so absolute value will be still 3. So basically, if you put this one in a calculator, this is a straight line, a V shape. If you are graph Y equal to absolute value of, this is Y equal to absolute value of X. Basically, this one is moving to the left for 1 unit. All right, moving to the left for 1 unit. So this one will be Y equal to absolute value of X plus 1. All right. So you can see we can check this one in a calculator in here. Okay. as I mentioned earlier, we have a absolute value of x. So go to math, look at the absolute value of x, right? And I'm gonna clear the second one so we can graph this one. So this one is y equal to absolute value of x. So it's very symmetric in here, you know, with this point on the origin. And then we're gonna go to graph. This is absolute value of x. Okay, so x plus 1. All right, so we can compare this graph to the one we have. And yeah, this is moving to the depth of 1 unit. Look at it. This is moving to the depth of 1 unit. And these two are parallel in here. Okay, so that is the absolute value in this case. So you can use the calculator to double check this one. All right. Yeah, so that is the graph, you know, it looks like in here. So that's our fourth section. Okay, so the fourth section, you have a straight line, you have a absolute value, you have a plotting the point. All right, the section 2 here is the linear equation and a rational function. All right, so in here you will be able to solve the linear equation in one variable, and then some of them might be having a fraction. Okay. And then a rational function, that means a little bit fraction. I know people do not like a fraction, but we can simplify into, we can get rid of denominator, making the rational function into the integer. Okay, so that is this one right here. All right, so what's a linear function? Linear, that means it's a straight line. Okay, so if you have ax plus b equal to 0, this one is a linear because it's a straight line. All right. How do you generate an equivalent equation? Equivalent, that means equal, right? Equals thing. You can simplify the expression by removing, you know, grouping symbol, combine the like term. You can add or subtract, you multiply or divide by non-zero numbers on both sides, and they are still equal, right? You can interchange the two sides of the equation. That means if I have a x equal to 3, I can write down 3 equal to x. They are the same thing, right? So you can interchange the two sides of the equation, that kind of thing. All right, so if you have x equal to 3, I can add a 1 on both sides, and they are still equal. Or I can minus 1 on each side, they are still equal. Okay, so that is this equivalent equation being. All right, so look at this one right here. How do I solve my x? Okay, how do I solve x in here? According to the one equivalent equation we have earlier, we can minus 5 on both sides. As long as you do the same thing on both sides, you always equal. So this will cancel out. So this will be only 4x there. And then 29 minus 5 will be 24, right? And then we can divide the same number on both sides, and they are still equal. And these two will cancel out. So this will be just 1x. And we don't really have to write down 1. We just write down x, right? And then 24 divided by 4 is 6, okay? And you can check. Checking usually is optional in here, but you can check if left-hand side equal to the right-hand side. All right. If left is not equal to right, that means this answer is wrong. Okay. So you can check it on your own. 4 times 6 plus 5. That's my left-hand side, right? And then this is equal to 24 plus 5, 29. So it is equal to the right-hand side. Okay. So this kind of linear checking is optional, but you can check your answer very quick. Solving the linear equation, yeah, you can add and subtract, multiply on both sides, you know, isolate a variable, okay, correct the like term, all this kind of thing. I'm gonna just look at you the example. All right, this one is called a rational function because of the fraction, okay? We have the number in here. So we're gonna change this one, get rid of all these fraction, we can multiply both sides by the same number. Just make sure you multiply everyone. Okay, so we're gonna multiply the biggest denominator. So sometimes we call the least common denominator, LCD, least common denominator. Okay, so if I have a least common denominator, because I'm using 4 is bigger than 2, but if I multiply both sides by 4, 2 will be canceled out as well, right? So we're gonna multiply the LCD by 4, and then look at that, 4 and 4 will cancel out. So this will be just 1 times everything, still equal to x minus 2. Look at this one right here, 4 and 4 cancel out. So the first one will be just 1. Okay, 4 and 4 cancel out. This first one is 1. Second one, 4 and 2 cancel out. This will be still got 2. Okay, so 4 divided by 2, you still have a 2 left. So this one, you need to have a 2 times the numerator, x minus 3. All right, be very careful. This outside is negative. So you need to have a parenthesis. Okay, so we're gonna simplify the right hand side. So this is negative 2 times the x will be negative 2x. Negative 2 also need to times negative 3. Negative become positive. And then we're gonna add these two together first. All right, so we have a 7 minus 2x. Right now, it doesn't matter which side you want to keep the x, right? We usually like to keep the variable on the right side, on the left side, number on the right hand side, but it's totally up to you, okay? You can keep a x on the left or x on the right. Right now, I'm gonna keep x on the right because I'm gonna get rid of 2x. So in order to get rid of 2x, you need to add a 2x. You need to add a 2x right here. So this will be canceled out, right? So right side will be just 7. And then left side here, you have x plus 2x will be 3x. All right, I still have a minus 2 here. So we're gonna add a 2 on both sides, add a 2. So this will be canceled out. So you're gonna have a 3x equal to 9, right? 3x equal to 9, what do? You divide by 3. So you're gonna have an x equal to 9 over 3 or equal to 3. Okay, so that is your solution. You can check, but this checking is optional, right? How do you check? You check a left-hand side equal to the right-hand side that way. So if you plug a 3 in, 3 minus 2 over 4, is that equal to the right side? All right, so 3 minus 2 is 1, so that's 1/2, okay? 1 over 4, I'm sorry, 1 over 4. And then right side is 1 over 4 minus 3 is 0, so those thing is 0. All right, so left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, so that is correct, okay? So that is the fraction, a little bit challenging, but you can do that. Just multiply the biggest denominator or LCD, least common denominator, okay? All right, so look at this one right here. This is a rational function, okay? Rational function, you have an x in the denominator. Sometimes I usually remind people, say there's an okay and no. So what does okay mean? If you have a number, 0 divided by 10, how much is 0 divided by 10? It's still 0, right? If you have a $0, want to give it to 10 people, how much can each one get? Well, 0, because you don't have money, right? So that is 0. But if you have a $10, want to give it to 0 people, 0 person, what does that mean? Well, that means you cannot find anyone. So this is called undefined, okay? You cannot find any. If you put it in a calculator, it will still give you the error message, okay? Or undefined messages. So that means there's nobody right there that you can have $10 to give it to. So you might just give it to the charity, okay? So that is this one. So we usually say, okay, 0 on the numerator, that's okay. 0 in the denominator is a no. This is a no. Remember these two words, okay and no. All right. If you have a number, want to give it to nobody, maybe just give it to the charity because you cannot find any people. All right. So that's a no. So that means in this rational function, when you have a denominator with x, denominator cannot be 0. So 2x cannot be 0, 3x cannot be 0. This cannot be 0. So that means x cannot be 0, right? Sometimes we also call this one is the domain. Domain is x cannot be 0. X can be anything else, can be positive, can be negative, just cannot be 0 for this equation. Okay, so how do I solve this one? How do I get rid of my denominator? We're gonna go to find a LCD. LCD is a least common denominator that I can multiply and get rid of all the fraction. So we have we need to have an x, right? Looks like we have an x in the denominator, so we definitely need to have an x. And then we have a 2, we have a 18, we have a 3. All right, so look at this one. My biggest denominator here, my biggest number here is 18. Can 18 be divided by 2 and 3? The answer will be yes. 18 divided by 2, you got 9. 18 divided by 3, you got 6. So I can find my LCD as 18x. So that means if I use 18x multiply both sides, all the denominator will be gone. All right, so let's see how we do this one. I multiply 18x on both sides, all the denominator will be gone, right? So look at the x and x cancel out already. 18 divided by 2, I will get a 9. So this will be 9 times 5, okay? And then this 18 and 18 cancel out. I still have an x there. This x need to multiply by 17, so I have a 17x. All right, 3x, x and x cancel out. 3 and 18 cancel out. You got 6 there. So this will be 6. All right, 9 times 5 is 45. Okay, and then I just add a 6 on both sides, right? I can just add a 6 on both sides. So this cancel out. So I can just leave my x on the left side. That's okay. So 45 plus 6 will be 51. And then I divide by both sides by 17, right? 17 cancel out, so I have x there. 51 divided by 17 is 3. So that is my answer. And we're gonna check the denominator. Is 3 make a denominator is 0? No, 3 it won't make a denominator is 0. X is not equal to 0. So that means I can keep this answer. All right, if I have x equal to 0, I have to get rid of them because x cannot be 0 in here. But this x is 3, so 3 is the solution. Any questions? So in order to solve the fraction, we find a denominator, find a number that we can multiply on both sides and get rid of all of them in here. Okay, so if you have x in the denominator, you have to multiply x on both sides in order to get rid of this x, right? And then you have a 2, 3, and 18. You're gonna go to look at, if I choose 18, we'll be able to get rid of 2 and 3. The answer is yes. All right, so that is the one that can do the work. All right, so type of the equation, identity, conditional, and inconsistent. Well, so identity, that means x and y is always the same, right? Okay, so identity function, that means if I have a y equal to x, and then I have a 2y equal to 2x. Look at that, this 2 actually is the same. This 2 equation is the same because if I cancel 2 on both sides, I will produce the same equation. So those are called identity, okay? All right. Which one will be the inconsistent? An equation that is not true for any real number is called inconsistent. That means no solution, okay? If you have a no solution, that means called inconsistent. If you have a solution, you have exactly one solution, that means it's called conditional. An equation that is true for at least one real number, okay? One real number is called conditional equation in here. All right, so that is just a little bit in here. So let's see, solve this one and determine this is a conditional equation or identity or inconsistent. All right, so inconsistent, that means no solution, right? So we can look at this one right here. We can simplify. This side, this 4 times x is 4x minus 4 plus 3. And then look at this one, this is 4x, this add up together will be minus 1. Look at this one, this both sides has 4x in here. So if I minus 4x on both sides, guess what? This cancel out, this cancel out. I have a negative 7 equal to negative 1, which is false. Negative 7 cannot be equal to negative 1. So that means you don't have a solution in here, no solution. No solution means inconsistent. All right, so that is just a little bit name for that. This one is called inconsistent because it has no solution, okay? All right, so that is our first 2 sections in here. I'm not sure, like, let me see. We still have a little bit time. We can introduce a little bit complex number in here, which is sometimes people say, well, what kind of a number will be complex? Well, yeah. Or we can leave this one to the next week. I don't want to scare everyone at the beginning, going too fast, too much. Okay, let's go ahead and solve this one, and we're gonna look at some of the homework first. All right. Determine is this one is an identity, inconsistent, or conditional equation. So let's go ahead and solve this one for now. So we're gonna simplify on both sides. 9 times x will be 9x, right? Plus 9 times 1. Parentheses, that means you have to distribute that in, distribute to everyone, right? 9 times 1 will be 9. Okay, so 9x minus 2x, you just add or subtract the coefficient, keep the x. So this will be 7x. All right, so if you look at the left side and right side, you have a 7x, you have a 7x, you have a 9, you have a 9. If you minus 7x minus 7x, you're gonna have a 9 equal to 9, right? Cancel out. So 9 equal to 9 is always true, always true. So that means these 2 sides is called identity, right? Because if you simplify left side and right side are always the same. So that is true. That is called identity in here. Okay. So it's very easy to identify that way. Okay. Any questions? I want to leave some time for questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I know you're recording the class. Will you post this recording so we can go back over it if we need to?
Yes. Yes. This recording will be available right after class when I start that. Probably just take 5 minutes to summarize, to make it available.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, so let's look at one of the homework. Okay, so we look at, let's say, look at the question 1. This is, this one is already done. Okay, so look at this one right here. All right, so this one is graphing the equation that x is equal to this one. So that should be easy to calculate that way. All right. Same thing as this one. So this homework should be pretty straightforward. I'm not going to talk too much because that homework is pretty easy. Not quite, but doable. Okay. There's a little bit section called 1A. I will prefer everyone also do this section because giving you a little bit overview. Okay, a little bit overview in here. So this one is evaluate the algebraic expression for the given value for the variables. So that means you want to evaluate 9x minus y when x is equal to 4, y equal to 5, right? So how do you evaluate it? Well, let me go ahead, open a little bit something to write. So that means that you just need to replace the X and Y value in here and then evaluate that number. Okay, so let me just pull this. Sometimes I don't have one open. All right. Okay, so that means I will go into 9x minus y, and then plug x equal to 4 in y equal to 5, right? So 4 times 9 is 36 minus 5 will be 31. So this answer will be just 31. Okay, so that is how you evaluate this kind of question, just giving you a little bit, this should be pretty quicker to finish that kind of thing. Okay, just a little bit of review for the section. You can see this is a little bit tricky. I'm trying to maximize this one, and then that one now is going to smaller one. Okay, so you have an x squared plus 5x, right? So x squared plus 5x equal to what? When x equal to 4. So this will be 4 squared plus 5 times 4. Of course, your homework, it won't be the same number as mine, right? So you cannot copy this one. You just do the same similar way. 4 squared is 16 plus 5 times 4 is 20, so 20 plus 16 is 36. Remember we have a called PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, PEMDAS, called order of operation, right? The order of operation, if you have a parenthesis, you need to go first, okay? If you have an exponent, you also have to go first. M and D actually is called peer. All right, peer, that means first come, first serve, okay? A is addition, B is subtraction. So sometimes people have this sentence called, please excuse my dear Aunt Sheila. All right, so that is PEMDAS. So if I giving you 2 minus, like I said, 9 divided by 3 times, all right, I want everyone to calculate this one very quick because we will encounter this type of calculation. All right, can anyone give me the answer for this one? 2 minus 18 divided by 6 times 3 plus 1. How much is this one? Okay, group, give you a minute. Let's go ahead and figure out this one. Anyone do the evaluation? Okay, I want the people to go ahead and answer this question. How much is that? Anyone got an answer? All right, I wonder at least 3 people have the answer. Just shout it out. You don't have to tell your name. Just say what is your answer. We don't record your name right here. You cannot see your name. Just go ahead and give me an answer. Anyone? Okay, so let's look at this together. All right, so this one, what do you do in here? Well, 2 minus, I don't have a parenthesis, right? So I don't have a parenthesis, I don't have an exponent. So this thing, so I don't have a parenthesis, so I don't have to go to the parenthesis first, right? And then I have M and D, and then we say that earlier, M and D is peer, first come, first serve. So I have a division first, so I actually do this one, do this from left to right, because you don't multiply, you don't want to multiply together and then do the division, because if you do the PEMDAS, that's what they do it. But actually, this would M and D multiplication and division is called peer. Peer is first come, first serve. Okay, so you will do the 18 divided by 6 first, which is 3, and then 3 times 3 plus 1. Okay, so now you have a addition, you have a subtraction, you have a multiplication. Which one you go first? Well, you have to do the multiplication. This MD have to go first before you do the addition and subtraction. Okay, so I will have to multiply this first. 3 times 3 will be 9, right? And then plus 1. All right, so addition and subtraction is also peer. Okay, you don't have to do the left to right. You can do the 1 and you can add a 1 and 2 together first, and then minus 9. That's okay. Or you can do that from left to right. It doesn't matter, right? If you add a 2 and 1 together, it will be 3. 3 minus 9 will be negative 6, right? Or you can do that from left to right. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. Negative 7 plus 1 will be negative 6. Okay, so this whole thing we are equal to negative 6. All right, so this is a little bit called order of operation, which is sometimes people remember PEMDAS too well, and on the other hand making mistake. All right, so remember there's an exception. P and M and D is called peers. Peers is first come, first serve. No one has a priority than the other. If there's no parenthesis in here, okay? If you put a parenthesis, now it will be different, okay? Look at this one right here. If I have a parenthesis, if I add, let me just go ahead and rewrite. If I add a parenthesis in here, this seems pretty trivial, but when you do the real calculation, it's very useful, because sometimes people feel frustrated, say, I did everything right, why it always counted me wrong? All right, if I have this one right here, now what? Because I have a parenthesis, look at it, I have a parenthesis here. Now this parenthesis need to go first, okay? All right, so it's very different. So now I have the parenthesis need to go first. So I have to calculate 6 and 8 times 3 first, which is 18. All right, and then now parenthesis is gone. I don't have a parenthesis anymore. So which one do I do first? Well, I have a division. Division is a higher order than the addition and subtraction. So division have to go first. Okay, so 2 minus 18 divided by 18 will be 1. All right, and then this whole thing, you can say, well, 1 and negative 1 cancel out. So this whole thing equal to 2. All right, so you can see the totally different answer if I add a parenthesis in here and without a parenthesis. Okay, so this one is negative 6, this one is positive 2. All right, so that's a little bit order of operation, which we, no matter which one you calculate, you always will encounter order of operation. Okay, so those are the basic one. I want everyone to have that before you move on, right? So this one, 4 square is 16. 16 plus 20 will be 36. I think we had that earlier. All right, so those are the evaluation. And then same thing, this one is evaluate x is equal to 5 for this expression. So you just replace it, kind of like a substitute, right? Substitute x equal to 5 in, okay? So substitute x equal to 5. All right, so you have a x squared minus 3x plus 6, and I replace the x by 5. So this will be 5 squared minus 3 times 5 plus 6. 5 squared is 25 minus 15 plus 6, right? And then this one, you can do that from left to right, or you can add a positive together and then minus this one, either one. But I'm gonna do that from left to right because this one left to right is easier. All right, so you just evaluate this one right here. Okay, so now those are just a little bit this one right here. You don't really have to click a save. Usually it will automatically save, right? And if I do not finish all at once, I can still come back to do this one. Okay, so you can resume. But when you go to the review, you cannot change the answer. It won't let you change the score if you go to the review. Okay, so you have to resume in order to improve the grade. Okay, any questions? Or we can go ahead, have a little bit time that we can go ahead. Some people probably will do a little bit earlier. We can go ahead and look at 1.4. Okay, so 1.4 is a little bit complex number. In here, complex number, that means we will have an I. So some of the number are not real. Okay, when we take a square root, remember, if I take the square root of 1, square root of 1 is 1, right? Square root of 4 is 2, because I can say 2 square is 4. So square root of 4 will be 2. Square root of 36 will be 6, right? Square root of 100 will be 10, because 10 square equal to 100. So we know that kind of square root. Okay, but if I put a square root of -1 in a calculator, you're gonna get an error message. So this one is called undefined in a real number system, all right? And mathematicians say, well, we're gonna give you an imaginary number. So I is the imagine, like the false initial, right? So we're gonna put a square root of -1 equal to I. And then if I square both sides, what happened? If I square both sides, now I have I squared equal to -1. Look at it. Square and square root cancel out. So that's called an imaginary number. You identify square root of -1 into I, or I squared equal to -1. We know everything square will be positive, right? -2 square will be positive. But this is the only time when you have an I squared equal to negative, okay? So this is called imaginary number. Sometimes some of the word is called complex number or complicated number or complicated. All right, so this is a complex number or complicated number or called an imaginary number. All right, so that's why you see the things I squared equal to -1, okay? And the complex standard form is using A plus BI. So A is still a real number, B is still a real number. And then when you add an I here, it becomes a complex number in here, okay? Complex number has one called conjugate. All right, so the complex number is kind of like a binomial, A plus BX. I is a little bit like an X, okay? You can add and subtract, multiply, okay? All right, so how do I add this complex number together? Well, this one right here, you can get rid of parentheses, right? So addition parentheses, you didn't change anything. Okay, so you add a real number, kind of like a term, right? So that's A, and then -2I plus 3I is I. So -2 plus 3 is 1, so that's 1I. You keep the I, all right? And then this one is pretty similar. Get rid of parentheses, so it's -12. This have to distribute it in negative, become positive. Okay, and then you add a 2 and -12 together, so that's -10. You add a 6I and 1I together, so that's 7I. All right, so it's just like you have a 3x plus 2x equal to 5x, right? And then if you have a 3I plus 2I similar, that is 5I, okay? So just like you're doing the x, it's pretty similar. Except if you have an I square, you will need to simplify. So 7I times 2, you're gonna have a 14I. 7I times 9I, you're gonna have I times I times I will be I squared, okay? And then 7 times 9 is 63. So you're gonna have a 63 I squared. I squared is equal to -1. So we're gonna need to simplify the I squared. So replace the I squared as -1 in. All right, now negative become positive. Or you can write down 63 plus 14i. Okay, so that is how you multiply the I. All right, so this time we have a 2 item times 2 item. So you have a 2 item here. Look at it, 2 times 2, you're gonna get 4. So that means before you combine a like term, you're gonna have to have a 4 terms, okay? So 5, or you can write down as a separate one. You can have a 5 times the parenthesis. You know, you can write this one, give yourself a little bit break, and then using 4i times the second parenthesis, okay? So that way you can have a 4 terms. So 5 times 6 is 30, 5 times 7 is 35i, okay? Plus 4i times 6 is 24i. 4i times 7i will be 28i squared. This is positive, this is negative, so you have a negative here. All right, combine the like term, right? These two are the like term. You keep the I, and then you add and subtract the coefficient. So negative 35 plus 24 is 11. So that's negative 11i minus 28. Remember, every time you have an I square, you need to use -1 to simplify. Okay, so negative become positive. And then we combine these two together. So that's 58 minus 11i. All right, so that is how you find this type of product. You can just using the first one times the entire parenthesis, and then using the second one times the entire parenthesis. It's a little bit easier that way. Okay, complex conjugate. So conjugate is kind of like a pair, right? Like one pair in here. If you have A plus BI, the conjugate or the pair here is A minus BI. So the real number part is exactly the same. The BI is also the same, just one is positive, one is negative. Okay, the reason is conjugate because if you times the conjugate, you're gonna become real number. All right. Remember, if we have A plus B times A minus B, this is equal to A squared minus B squared. This is all real number, okay? This formula is very important. Everyone probably want to remember that. So if I have A plus BI times A minus BI, or it doesn't matter, multiply, you can switch, right? So these are the same. If you have A plus BI times A minus BI, if I use my real number formula, this is A squared minus B squared. So that's A squared minus B squared I squared. Look at that, this BI both has to be squared, right? And then I squared is -1. So negative become positive. So this become all real number, become all real. I is gone. So that's called a conjugate. So when you have a complex number multiply the conjugate, it will become real number, okay? And what does this one use? This one can use called rationalize the denominator. If you have a denominator, something like that, if you have this complex number, when you have a 4 minus I in the denominator, if I want to change this one into a standard form, right? Standard form, that means I want to get rid of I in the denominator. So I will need to multiply the conjugate. So what is the conjugate for 4 minus I? Well, the conjugate of 4 minus I will be 4 plus I. So that's the conjugate. But when you multiply the denominator, you also need to multiply the numerator. So this entire thing is called multiply by 1, right? This whole thing, 4 plus I divided by 4 plus I, this is equal to 1. So if I have a 10 times 1, is still equal to 10. Look at that. If I have 100 times 1, is still equal to 100, right? So this 1 can be anything, can be 2 over 2, can be So this is still equal to 10. If I can change my 1 into 3/3, right? 3/3 is equal to 1. So 10 times 3/3 is still equal to 10. All right. So that means I don't want to change anything. I just want to make this still equal, make this still equal to the left side, the left-hand side, okay? If you have a 10 times 2/2 is 10 times 1, that is still equal to 10, all right? So I can have a 10 equal to 10 times 2/2, all right? And then still equal to 10, right? So that is, we transform, but we don't want to change the value, okay? The value is still the same, all right? And then we're gonna go ahead and give this one a quick calculation, okay? So I have a denominator as a plus b times a minus b, so this denominator will be a squared minus b squared, right? And then that's 16 minus I squared. So how much is I squared? I squared is -1. So basically you have a 16 minus -1, or this will be +1. So this will be just 17. Look at that. So my denominator, I is gone. It's become a real number. Okay. And how much is my numerator? Well, my numerator, I need to have a 5 plus I times 4 plus I. So I can use in 5 times 4 plus I plus 4I times 4 plus I. I don't have a formula for the numerator, so I just need to multiply that in. Okay, so I multiply that in, that's 20 plus 5I plus this multiply that in 16I plus 4I squared. I times I gonna be I squared. Okay, and then we're gonna add these two together, so that is 21I. I squared is -1, so we're gonna have a -1 times 4, so that's -4. All right, so 20 minus 4 will be 16. Okay, and then we can write down 16 over 17 plus 21 over 17I, and then that is called A plus BI form. My A here is 16 over 17. My B here is 21 over 17. Okay, so that's called a standard form. The standard form is A plus BI. Do not have an I in the denominator. Okay, so guess what? We have a 5 plus 4I over 4 minus I. This whole thing actually is equal to this. All right, hold on a second. I go too fast, so software is wondering. All right, so this left and right, this left, so this left-hand side actually equal to my right-hand side. When you, in math, when you draw for this equal sign, that means they are the same weight, right? One side cannot be heavier or lighter than the other, all right? They have the same weight in here. So that is how you do this type of question. Sometimes we call it another name called rationalize the denominator. That means we want to write down into the standard form. A plus BI is a standard form. So now I have my standard form in here, but it's still equal. Okay, so that is this one right here. Principle of the square root of the negative number. If you have a negative, -1, square root is equal to I. If you have a -4 square root, what happened? I'm gonna put it, this one is the square root of -1 times the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2, and then square root of -1 is I. So this whole thing will equal to square root of 2I. If you have a square root of -8, what happened? Well, this one, now I have a square root of 8 multiply square root of -1, and then we have a square root of 8, and then we have an I. Usually, I like to write down I on the other side of the square root, because if you write down I too close to 8, it looks like I is inside the square root, right? But if you write down I on this one you have to be careful. Don't put an I under the square root, okay? Square root start in here, and then that I is outside. So, but the multiplication, you can write down I anywhere, right? In here. So you can write down I square root of 8. So in case by accident you put an I inside the square root, and it will counter you wrong, okay? But this square root of 8, you still need to simplify. You cannot leave a square root of 8 as a final answer, because 8 you can separate into 2 and 4, okay? You can drop a little bit 3 with 8. So, you know, you can have a square root of 2 times 4. And this 4 can be taken out from the square root. Look at it, you can have a 2 squared right here. So this will be 2 square root of 2i, okay? I is outside the square root. So this whole thing, you have to simplify. Square root of 8, we have to simplify into 2 square root of 2. All right, so that one, sometimes even people sometimes still not simplify enough, okay? So look at this one right here. How do I simplify this one? I have a square root of -1 times the square root of 121. If you go to use the calculator, square root of 121 is 11, okay? That's integer 11, and then this one will be I. All right. This one, you're going to have a square root of -1, square root of 80, and then we know square root of -1 will be I, and then times the square root of 80. Well, apparently square root of 80, you need to simplify, right? 80, you can have a 2 divided by 2. You know this is an even number. Even number, all the even number can be divided by 2. So you can just keep divided by 2 to see what happened, okay? And then divided by 2, this will be 20, divided by 2, this will be 10, divided by 2, this will be 5, right? So how many 2 do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to have a 2 to the 4 power times 5 for 80. And that means 5 don't have a even power, so I cannot take it out. So I can take the 2 to the 4 out, or 16 out, or this one you can write down as 16 times 5. 16, you can take it out, it's 4 squared, right? Or it's 2 to the 4, 2 to the 4, take it out, will be 2 to the 2, 2 to the 2 is 4. Or you can just write down this one, okay? 4 squared times 5. So this will be I 4 square root of 5. Or you can write down 4 square root of 5 and then I outside. Or you can write down 4i square root of 5. These are all acceptable format. These are all acceptable format in here. Because multiplication, it doesn't matter. You put it in the middle, in the front, or in the end is the same. Okay? So, but you do need to simplify square root of 80. All right, how do I add and subtract from this thing in here? Well, we need to simplify each one first, right? So this is the square root of 1, square root of 28, plus this is square root of -1, square root of 48. And then we know this one is an I. 27, you can put it in the 3 and 9. And 9 is a perfect square of 3, so you take it out as 3. Okay, and then you still have a 3 inside. All right. 48, you can have a 3 times 16. 16 is 4 square, so you can take it out as 4. 4 square root of 3. Look at that. They all have an I. They all have an I. They all have a square root of 3. So I can take the I square root of 3 out, and then you just have a 4 plus, you just have a 3 plus 4 in here. So that's a 7 square root of 3i. Or you can write down 7i square root of 3. It doesn't matter. All right, these are all acceptable format. You use this one or this one. Those are all acceptable formats in here. Okay. All right, so the second one is a perfect square. What does a perfect square mean? Perfect square, that means multiply itself twice. Okay, this is 2, that means multiply itself twice. There's a perfect square formula, but if you do not know the formula, you just FOIL it in. FOIL it in. First term, outer, inner, last term, right? FOIL it in. Or you can just break down into 2 parentheses. Usually I recommend that. Break down -2 times the second parenthesis. This is the easiest way to do. And then minus the second one is square root of 3 times the second parenthesis. Okay, if you go to this detail, you won't make mistake. All right. And then we just multiply that in. Negative, negative will be positive, right? Negative, negative is positive. All right. And then negative, negative is positive. Negative, negative is positive again. So this is the square root of 3 squared, right? Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 will be square root of 3 squared. Okay. And then these two are the like term. All right. So you keep the square root of 3, add the 2 together. So there's 4 square root of 3. Square root of 3 squared will be 3. This is square and square root cancel out. So we have a 7 plus 4 square root of 3. Look at that. Oh, this one doesn't have an I, right? This one are all real number. Okay, this one are all real numbers, so it doesn't have an I in here. It's just my regular calculation in here. All right. Any questions? We can simplify the I power, okay? We know I to the 1 power is equal to I, but how about I to the 3 power? I to the 3 power, you can have an I squared times I, right? And then I squared is -1, so this is negative I. If you have an I to the 4 power, what happened to I to the 4 power? It's I squared times I squared. So that's -1 times -1, so it becomes +1 in here, okay? So if you have an a to the x power times a to the y power, what do? You have a same base, multiply, you kill the base, you add the power together, okay? But if you have an a to the x power to the y power, you have a power's power, you multiply the power, okay? So don't confuse these two formulas. This is a basic algebra formula, do not confuse, okay? This is 2 multiplied, we have a same base, like a 2 to the x power times 2 to the y power. This is equal to 2 to the x plus y, right? But if you have a 2 to the x power times y power, what happens? This is 2 to the xy, okay? Multiply together. So if you have a 2 to the 2 power times 2 to the 3 power, how much is that? Okay, so this one, you have a same base. So you add a power, you add a power together, you have a 2 plus 3. So it's 2 to the 5 power. Okay, 2 to the 5 power is 32. If you have a 2 to the 2 power and then parenthesis 3 power, this is power's power. You will need to multiply the power together, which is 6 power. 6 power, this is 64. So look at it, it's quite different. All right. So that is these two formula, this one and this formula, do not confuse, okay? All right, how do I simplify the higher power in here? Actually, I'm gonna go for B first because B is easier, right? B is an even number, so even number I can divide by 2. Look at that. 72 divided by 2 is 36. And then I square is -1. So I have a -1 to the 36 power. 36 is an even number, so anything with the even power will be positive. And then 1 to the any power is still equal to 1. So this will be just a +1, right? I to the 64, which is you have to use 64 plus 1, okay? Because I cannot divide it by 2. So what does that mean? That means is I to the 64 times I to the 1 power, okay? When you have a power, this is multiplied. All right, now I can have this is 64. I can using I squared and then times 32, and then you have I right here, right? And then I squared is -1. Okay, -1 to the 32 power is even power, so this will be +1 times I. So this whole thing will be just equal to I. All right. So simplify the power of I. You can always simplify like that. Any questions? Okay, our next section is the quadratic equation, which is nonlinear. Okay, and I am going to start right here because we run out of the time and I don't want to go too fast on the week one. If some of you a little bit ahead, you can watch the video. I have a previous semester have a recording video, which is still on the Canvas. Or you can also watch the section video if you get ahead there, and which I recommend you because until we meet next Saturday, you have an entire week, right? So I'm sure you want to go ahead and jump in whenever you could, okay? All right, any questions for today? Anyone has any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Is the recording video you have, is it going to be in Canvas, and where would it be?
Yes.
Because I can't really see it.
Yeah, it will
All
be
I see is lecture
Canvas.
notes.
Yeah, it will be Canvas. I can also put a link on the announcement.
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, if not, you can still, if you have any question, you can still send me the email. Okay, I usually reply the email within 24 hours. So if you have any question. Also, by the way, the quizzes has a password. Okay, the password here is spring 2023, one word. All right, the first one is cap. Okay. So the reason I put a password right there, so you don't say I click by accident and give me one more try, all right? Because you actually have to type something there to begin with, okay? So that's the password, all right? You also check the announcement. If you forget something, check the announcement. I usually post the most important message on the announcement to everyone, okay? All right, any other questions? Okay, if not, that'll be all for today, okay? Have a great weekend, and then I'm sure you're gonna take advantage of your weekend and then get started with the homework as soon as possible, all right? Okay, have a good day. All right, we're gonna stop the recording.